got mail. Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour, along with Katie.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Gal is here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And do.
Nick said last week that he was not going to be here. Spence is on the way home from Florida, so we are here with you. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So, what happened last week? Anything sticking kind of?
I've just been one with the box. I've just been packaging like crazy
Well, that's
with my
good,
my
but it's
downstairs
not
and
interfering with your day job, right?
no,
Good.
no.
That's
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 why
that's great.
I stay up late.
Well, it's fine. That's fine.
Yep.
It's just interfering with our biological life. That's all.
Yeah, works fine.
Yeah, but you can make her biological life much better because she's doing that
Yeah, we'll
boxing.
see. We'll see if I can last much longer. I started feeling sick yesterday, and so
Uh-oh.
I stopped. I stopped packaging. I was like, I gotta take a break.
Well,
So
that's okay. I mean, how long can you go packaging for people to get it for Christmas?
it takes about 5 days, so I'm
Oh,
still
okay.
good.
So, okay.
But yeah, it's just working these long hours for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month in a row. I don't
No.
even know what time it is. Is draining, but worth it. And then I'll take all of January off because nobody buys anything in
That's the
January.
key word. It's worth it. And you
Yeah.
know that it's worth it. That's it. Yep. 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 All right. So let's see. I had something about Chat GPT
ChatGPT.
and oh, so it says that Thursday, OpenAI released a smarter, faster ChatGPT, but
Not
there's
stronger.
huh?
Not stronger.
Not well. They didn't say
Faster.
stronger. They say
Oh,
smarter and faster.
okay.
But there is still competition, not to be outdone by OpenAI. This week has seen several big announcements by other AI companies. Google DeepMind unveiled Genie 2, a tool capable of creating limitless 3D environments.
Ooh.
It could create playable games based on a single text input. 11 labs announced a new conversational AI system. It's a voice bot meant to feel like you're making a phone call. Tom's
Interesting.
Guide AI editor used it to clone his voice to act as technical support.
That's
So
kind of
there's a
creepy.
lot of stuff to play. And guess what? I'm sitting here and I'm seeing something change on the screen, and Windows 10 is telling me, "Hey, it's time to upgrade to Windows 11." You know that big screen. Why are they doing it when they know it cannot be done on this computer? I mean,
Because they're trying to get you to buy a new one.
yeah.
If they annoy you enough, you'll break down.
No, that's not. I mean, to get it a couple of times a week when I do a show, it's no big deal. But it's just kind of ridiculous.
Did it chat you said ChatGPT came out with a better, faster
That's what they
AI?
said. That they said it released a smarter, faster ChatGPT.
Did it say? Did
No,
it give it a number? Because right now
nothing.
I think it's ChatGPT 4, which the difference between 3 and 4 is astronomical. From my experience of using it, because 3 was very AI with the responses, but 4 it's like really close to talking to a person as far as the responses and the nuances with the replies. And with 4, it was like remembering our conversations, even if it was like months ago, as long as I was in the same, I guess, chat or whatever. And so it was kind of really freaky. So I'm curious to see if this is like 4.5 or if this is
No,
like
they did not
GPT
say.
5 because I want to test it out.
And they're not saying anything on their site? Are you looking for the new one?
I want to know if they numbered it or if
No,
they
I mean,
it's
are
or,
you looking somewhere now, right now?
oh no,
Oh, okay. Well,
nah, I'm just talking.
yeah, I mean, it must be somewhere out there, but they didn't give any further details. But
Well,
it's
the
in.
real question is it available, or is it just
Well, they
an
said that
announcement that it's going to come out? Yeah,
they released past tense.
it's okay.
So
Maybe it starts with those who pay premium.
it's very possible. There's a lot of things that those premium users get that us little guys don't.
Yeah, but they've been kind of, well, this could change at any moment, but they've been pretty generous with the free stuff. Uh, because I looked into paying versus free, and I don't use it every day.
Mhm.
But I was like, well, maybe I need to pay for it to get better responses. You have access to like the full ChatGPT smartness or whatever. They just limit you on how much you could talk to it, but I I was reaching that limit. Like when I was using it a lot to like ask it coding stuff, I'd reach the limit in a couple hours, but then you just have to wait and it comes back. So it wasn't enough for me to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna spend $20 a month or whatever it is."
Well, Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok is now available to free users on X.
Such a
Several,
bad name.
hmm?
I said that's such a bad name.
Well,
Rock,
several. What, Gal?
GROK.
Oh, I thought you said croak.
No, Grok.
Oh, okay.
Grok.
It's not. It's Grok. Yeah,
Grok.
and it's taken literally from a Heinlein book,
Oh,
A Stranger in a Strange Land, and it means understanding. Basically, it's more than an understanding, but
and
it's
now
yeah.
we know the rest of the story.
He's.
But anyway,
I mean, he's full of. He's full of like little inside jokes like that, nerdy jokes. Yeah.
so it goes. Several users noticed the change on Friday, which gives non-premium subscribers the ability to send up to 10 messages to Grok every 2 hours. XAI launched Grok last year as a humorous AI assistant, but it was only available to premium subscribers. Making it more widely available might help it compete with the already free chatbots like OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, and Anthropic Claude. So that thing about 10 messages. So that's uh, uh, I guess that it exists
10
there in
prompts.
order. What?
Yeah, basically 10 prompts. You get something for free in a limited capacity.
Oh, so okay? When I'm reading it, it makes me think that it's 10 posts.
Well, the way you converse with it, you converse with it uh, as if it's another account on
Right.
X, right? So you can send it and it'll respond 10 times. After that, it'll tell you you reached the limit.
Yeah.
So when
Every.
you go to ChatGPT, you get like a conversation, like a chat interface where
Mhm.
you converse with the AI. This is the same thing. It's just the interface is the X platform, right?
Oh, I see.
I think yeah, WhatsApp I think has something similar. Meta has something similar within Facebook. So they're all doing it in different ways.
Okay. All right. It's it keeps on evolving. The whole field, it keeps on
Yeah,
and
sure.
adding more and more and more, which is good. Good for the
And
end
it's
users.
impressive. Like, don't get me wrong, it's impressive, but it's also every time we talk about it, there needs to be this caveat that needs to remind everybody that these are machines that are
Right.
hallucinating fiction and not facts. I
Yeah.
can't stress it
It
stress it
just
enough.
adds more bullshit to the whole thing.
I mean, bullshit is being added all the time, but what it does, right? It's like it cannot discern between fact or fiction, and so it's just supposed to be impressive, sort of. So it's you can talk with confidence, but you can talk complete bullshit,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what that does.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
so
I mean, we're still a little bit away from having something that we can rely on.
it's a
And
great assistant. It's not an expert.
right.
Okay,
Yep.
the need to like that's the distinction I would put. Definitely use it.
Yeah.
Don't shy away from using it. Know its limit. Test its limitations. See how it works for you. It's phenomenal at rewriting and
And
critiquing and
help in writing.
giving feedback. That is, it's phenomenal. Uh, and most of the time, we do not have that person available. So this is a great next thing, right? Uh, if you're about to send a letter or an email to somebody, right? Be it an official official content or personal content,
Mhm.
definitely use it because it can help emphasize what is important to you in the correct way, right? You ask it to read it as the person who's going to receive it, and you can ask them question. You can ask it questions, right? How they would receive it, and it'll give you feedback. That's phenomenal. If you're writing something, if you're creating something, using it as a tool to double check your work, phenomenal. If you're trying to use it to generate the work completely for you, not just the skeleton of it, then you are probably bound to fail
Yep.
eventually with using it because it's going to disappoint you or it's going to disappoint whoever is going to receive it. So um,
Yep. Uh,
it's
it's.
phenomenal. Take it, use it with a grain of salt.
I mean, I. It keeps reminding me that it's not doing its own thinking. This morning,
Right.
I was sitting doing some work on the server with my SSH terminal, and I hit a key that took away the menu bar. So I don't have file, edit, view, and all that. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I bring it back? So I went to Google and I said, secure CRT, menu bar disappeared, shortcut. You know what it told me? I mean, the first one that comes is the AI stuff. It says, click on view and turn the menu on. I
Yep.
mean, eh,
Exactly.
it's things like these that you say, "What are you talking about?" That's the whole idea. I'm trying to get to see the view.
Well, first of all, moving into my nerdy technical support
Mhm.
role, right? Even if you do not see the menu, you can always reach the menu with the Alt key. So
Well, yeah, but
it's
you have
not.
to know. So that's why I put
Yeah,
shortcut.
you need to know. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. But so it's not. But this is a fantastic example because the answer was actually correct. It was just not complete in this
Right.
case, right? So yeah, um,
Yeah.
there are times where you get the answer is completely incorrect and it doesn't even know it.
Hmm.
And even if you ask it to correct itself or review or check, it might even get argumentative in a point where no, I'm right, right? It's something like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
All right. Um, we were talking a couple of weeks ago about Qualcomm's buying Intel. Well,
Um,
Qualcomm's
yeah.
interest in acquiring Intel is cooling due to the complexity of the deal, Intel debt, and regulatory hurdles. However, according to Bloomberg, Qualcomm may still explore acquiring a certain division of Intel to expand into market like PCs and networking. But that's amazing. Qualcomm was going to buy Intel. I mean, you thought about this 10 years ago. What? What are you talking about? It's
Yeah,
amazing
yeah.
how. Why?
No, I agree. I mean, Qualcomm used to be the midget, right?
Yeah,
The gnome next to the giant.
yeah,
Uh, but let's be clear. I don't think Qualcomm has grown so much as Intel has just shrunken, right?
right.
In
Yeah,
its presence.
yep.
Not that the company itself shrunk in size, but that happened as well. But that's not the case. That's not the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we started the show, you guys were talking about movies and books and stuff. The new movie Y2K is either a comedy or a disaster slash horror film, according to Wikipedia. The film imagines a turn of the century where the machines don't just glitch or stop working, writes the Hollywood Reporter. They go full homicidal with the cast that includes 90s icons like Alicia Silverstone and lead singer for Napster loving 1990 metal band Limp Bizkit.
Limp
Limp
Biscuit.
Biscuit.
Yeah.
Mm.
The movie gives the 90s the ending it deserves, according to the article. I haven't seen it. I never heard about this, but uh, I remember going through that, and Y2K was nothing. I mean, we thought it was going to be, remember, a big deal,
Yeah.
but it turned out to be, nah.
And there were a few movies pre uh, January the first 2000 that tried to deal with the impeding catastrophe.
Yeah.
But I think the take of now, right, uh, 25 years later, looking at that and jokingly taking it to the catastrophe level is probably a lot more pleasing and humorous than it would have been
True.
circa 1999. So
B I mean, did you see any serious glitches in
no, of course not.
the
I mean, from the get go, from the initial premise that Y2K is going to be this big thing, the fact that Y2K, the scare for Y2K created an entire industry of uh,
fixers?
companies,
Yeah.
not just consultants, but like complete industry
Industry, yeah.
for a couple of years. It was as a tech as a person. I was just at the end of my military mandatory military
Service.
service. So I've already had a good grasp of how technology works. I wrote software. I understood the premise, but I also understood that the scare, the marketing of this was just phenomenal fiction that would go nowhere. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, if you were a
yeah,
COBOL programmer, boy, you were sought after. Everybody,
yeah,
every big
yeah,
company was looking for COBOL people that can fix
yeah,
it.
because the banks were
Yep.
all their software was written in COBOL. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Katie, you
It
don't know
was
what we're talking about, do you?
No, I mean I know about Y2K, but I was 9,
Yeah.
so we just celebrated it. It was like New Year's. I
Yeah.
mean, it was New Year's, I
It
guess
was New
technically.
Year's. Yeah.
yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I
But
remember because my cousins from Chicago came down and we went to a Y2K parade and there's fireworks and we wore Y2K glasses and I was
Yeah.
like, is the world really gonna end?
I mean, I remember getting up in the morning and jumping at the computer to see what broke. You didn't see it. No, nothing broke. I mean, everything is still running the same way.
well, shame on you, Amnon. You didn't stay awake until midnight to
No,
check that nothing is breaking at 000.
no. I didn't want to stay up. I didn't want that anxiety. There were a lot of people that did suffer anxiety attacks
Yeah,
because of it.
yeah.
Yeah, it was yeah, but it's over. What is it now we're looking toward? 2036? Something's supposed to happen or
Oh,
2030?
you're going far.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about genocide and apartheid in Israel. You don't need to go far about scare tactics. It's not.
Hmm. Well, it was after Y2K, it was 2012 with the Mayans because the Mayan
Yeah, the
calendars
Mayan
yep,
ended.
that's
calendar.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now
Yeah.
now they need to wait another 80 years for anything related to Jesus, right? And then it's like another, yeah.
Oh, something that gives people something to sort of like look forward to. I wouldn't say look forward to, but to worry about something to come. We'll see.
Give them
And
something to talk about.
huh?
Give them something to talk about.
Yeah, give them something to talk about and worry about.
Oh.
So doctors can make more money, and programmers can make more money, and you know, it's like God said, it creates industry in an industry. And
Yeah.
all right, so American hospitals and healthcare organizations would be required to adopt multi-factor authentication and other minimum cybersecurity standards under new legislation proposed by a bipartisan group of U.S. senators. The Healthcare Cybersecurity and Resiliency Act of 2024 would, among other things, require better coordination between the Department of Health and Human Services and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, around cybersecurity in the healthcare and public health sectors. I guess they're getting tired of all these breaches of hospitals and health services and things like that. And I don't understand why these companies will not do it on their own. Why do
Yeah,
they need a regulation
you're
that
telling me that hospitals don't have two-factor
uh,
already set up?
I
That's
don't?
crazy.
Yeah,
Wait. Why are you going? What's the most like for an American citizen, right? American person. What's the most important thing that seems to be the always needs the highest security before health? It's
Social
your
media?
money, right?
your money, financial. Yeah,
Most of the banks do two-factor authentication wrong, right? Because they're limiting your password, I don't know, to 12 characters or something, and linked to your phone or something like that, right? And we all know that if you are a targeted individual, those things are easy to crack. right? You just call the phone company and you impersonate the person, and suddenly uh, you can get the SIM cloned and get the SMS message that you need.
Yeah.
So the fact that the legislation is needed, I agree with Amnon. It is absurd. Uh, it is also another industry creation moment, right?
Mhm.
Because this is going to create companies that are going to specifically tag themselves as two-factor authentication for healthcare, right? Implementation, and they're going to sell services that all they need to actually do is they need to sit down with their actual staff and just deal with it. Um, and the reason it's not being done on their own is because there is an expenditure here. That means people need to sit down, design a solution, and implement it. And it takes time, right? Not a huge amount of time, but it does take time. These systems are complex. And once you put down two factor authentication, and note, two-factor authentication is not just about me as the end consumer, right? Having access through two-factor authentication. It also means the IT employee, right, within the system, logging in correctly to their system in a very secure manner. And so it's not just about us, the customers, right? The patients whose data might be, because that's just a single account. And if somebody gets the account of Gal Skolnick, they can't hack to Katie Jones, right? That's not the case. That's not going to happen. So it's about the administrators. It's about the staff behind it, right? And that's the key issue. The fact that that's not being done is because it's not public facing. Then it's not something that they can sell as a product, and it's just an expense. And when the only thing that matters is the bottom line, is the profit. Uh, Nobody will care about that. Now, if the government says we must, then now we go to our shareholders and we say, look, this is an expense we are gonna have to do, right? So in that term, it's good that the legislation is there. The problem is that once the legislation is there, there's a ticking alarm clock for when this needs to be done, and that's where all the hacklers, the all of, not the hacklers, sorry, all of the scammers, right? That that's when they're going to show up, and this industry is going to be created. So
Oh,
yeah, it's a vicious cycle.
and another thing that kind of like relates to this, amid the unprecedented cyber attacks on telecommunications companies such as AT&T and Verizon, U.S. officials have recommended that Americans use encrypted messaging apps to ensure their communication stays hidden from foreign hackers.
Oh, like WeChat.
Eh, right. In the call Tuesday, two officials recommended using encrypted messaging apps to Americans who want to minimize the chance of China's intercepting their communications. Our suggestion, what we have told folks internally, is not new here. Encryption is your friend, whether it's on text messaging or if you have a capacity to use encrypted voice communications. Even if the adversary is able to intercept the data, if it is encrypted, it will make it impossible, Green says. The FBI official said people looking to further protect their mobile device communications would benefit from considering using a cell phone that automatically receives timely operating system updates, responsibly manage encryption, and phishing resistant, multi factor authentication for email, social media, and collaboration tool accounts. We've been
I'm guessing he really pissed off the NSA, right?
it's yeah, it's possible. That's right. Yeah, they can't get into it. But I mean, we were telling you were telling everybody from day one, about uh,
Yeah,
messaging application like Signal, and since then,
right.
even WhatsApp now is. I mean, a lot of them kind of like adopted that encryption, end to end encryption, but they're still not safe.
So here's the thing: encryption goes so far. Okay, point to point encryption is about the moment you and the other point you trust each other,
Hmm.
then in point to point encryption, you know that at least that channel specifically is going to pass encrypted information from end to end. What's not encrypted? Okay. Now we go to what's not encrypted. So, one of the things that's not encrypted is the fact that I had a conversation with you, Amnon, at a certain time.
Hmm.
Okay. That's metadata. Uh, some systems maintain metadata logs, others do not. So once you get point to point encryption out of the way, uh, which was the first step, and yes, today most services, I mean, uh, even SMS, right,
Yeah.
has evolved a bit, and there's RCS, which is the new standard that provides some sort of encryption midway and does not transfer the package of data unencrypted, right? So there are things that have changed, but the best way is to always use a system that you install on both ends and that you can trust, right? Systems like that, I mean, the one with the most trust right now in the industry and and a lot of transparency about how it works is Signal. Uh, there are others. You can also run your own, right? You can run a Matrix server for your peers, and your peers can use that. Uh, that means nobody is hosting the middleman server, right? Uh, so
Yeah,
there
but
are a
that's
lot
more
of
but that's more
choices.
like for companies.
Um,
I mean, in order to set up.
what you see today is it's getting easier and easier and easier to install these services, and so it's more for anybody who is privacy centric and can get the, I'll call it a community because it's always a community. It's always a group of people can get a like-minded community into the same hub, right?
Right.
Into the same place
Okay.
to discuss. Matrix specifically is interesting because it can interconnect between hubs. So I have my own Matrix server, and you, Amnon, have your own Matrix server. As long as we are okay establishing a trust, which can be automatic, it can be rule based, right? So my Matrix server can send encrypted messages to your Matrix users, right? Like email servers, sort of. But you can still keep the encryption end to end. So there are more and more and more solutions that are getting easier and easier and easier to set up, um, especially with cloud infrastructure today. So you don't necessarily need to even host it, behind your own network. It can be on a network that you manage outside of your home. So it's a very interesting landscape today. And yes, encryption is very, very important. Now, the FBI, for example, the way they track communications today is is less of a focus on the content, although that still exists, right? They have access to, um, at least we know that the NSA has created communication eavesdropping software, and with the availability of stuff like ChatGPT and Gemini and all that, where we know how computers today can. uh, I mean, we talk to right to an Amazon box and or a Google box or something, and we know that they can understand what we're talking and they can transcribe that.
Mhm.
So we do know that all of that technology already exists, and we do know just from the way we have everybody has access to AI today, um, that it can discern context from speech, right? Like it, the fact that alerting based on keywords, if it's not just keywords, actually, it's like complete content of speech. It can understand what you're saying in a certain way, right? So we know that those abilities are there, and that's why it is key that our conversations will be encrypted. But also remember that we also need to, now we're in the phase where, okay, you got the content of the conversation safe, right, in a safe tunnel. And so me and you and Katie, we can have our discussion without that being interrupted, without that being eavesdropped. But we cannot hide the fact that we talked,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That's a lot harder. And that's the next phase of privacy, of keeping privacy. Now, when I'm talking about keeping privacy, I'm not talking about being paranoid and I have something to hide. Like the fact that this becomes normalized, that uh, all of our interactions are, they can be accessed by a specifically powerful entity,
Mhm.
right? And it's not by our choice. That makes us, that puts us in in a very vulnerable space, because interpretation of whatever is happening can be can be manipulated. Either everything is completely open to the world, right? But everything is always in context. But when you take things out of context, then suddenly you're an instigator, suddenly you're malicious, suddenly it all depends on how things are being framed, right? Just the fact that I don't know, Katie is speaking with two Israelis today can be presented, right, in a certain way, and she might not have any recourse to do anything about that in front of a crowd that all they want to do is just demean it. So, um, so it's important when you're talking about privacy. We also need to understand uh, not just content, also context, right? Everything needs to be preserved, and so privacy is important. I find it funny that it comes from the FBI, right? Because we know that the FBI has a track record of trying to circumvent that um, to their ability. But now it seems like there's a big bad wolf outside called China, right? And
Shayna.
and they have the same capabilities that usually in the US people would think, oh, that's just stuff that we have, right? Uh, No, that's everybody has it, and that means you need to stay safe.
Well, um, there's a list. I was looking for encrypted messaging, and these are the most used is messages on Android. It's messages. WhatsApp is AWS Wicker. I don't know. Never heard of it. Signal, Telegram, Dust, uh, Messenger, Bria. That's old, and that chat, DAT chat. Oh, there's it says that there are two more. Simplex chat and Threema. I was in the process of saying, trying to find out which ones are not, and people need to. check that out. If you're using something that's not encrypted, not that does not encrypt end to end, you need to switch. And I mean, you don't. It doesn't mean that the other side has to switch also, does
It
it?
does. No, it does. If you want to have a conversation, then both ends need to be on the same
So what
system.
happens if you're using messages and
Yes.
it encrypts, and the other
Yeah,
side
but it
is
only encrypts when the other end has
okay.
messages as well,
All right.
right?
Okay.
The same way with the iPhone iMessage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
iPhone
iMessage.
iMessages between the participants that have iPhones, right? Those are encrypted end to end conversation, right? But the problem is that me that does not have
An iPhone.
an iPhone, I cannot participate
Yeah.
in that. I can participate in that conversation, but my participation in that conversation is basically exposed,
Yeah.
right? It's open. It's in the open.
Okay. Now, God, tell us. I mean, you look into all these things. Signal.
Mhm.
Can it talk to any other messaging program, or it has to be Signal on the other side?
Signal is a closed circuit
Okay.
application. There are options. I mentioned Matrix before that. So Matrix has a concept of bridges, which are basically, you can think of it as like a service that listens on a certain endpoint. Uh, and there are signal bridges where you can
Yeah. But
create a conversation between somebody on Signal and somebody on another network. But once you cross the networks, right, your um, your privacy or security is based on the least uh, secure of them.
secure. But I mean, remember when I said before, it's for companies. That Matrix.
Matrix isn't for companies. There's
Wait,
no
wait,
company
wait,
using
wait,
Matrix. No,
wait.
let's just
If
make
you
that clear.
took if you took 1,000 users out there, you may find a couple that would know how to set it up and use it. I'm trying to say what is for in practicality the end user who goes and buys a phone, the mother, the kid, you know, they need to use an application that does it. They don't need to reinvent the wheel. So, because they don't know how to invent the wheel. So, if they use Signal on both ends, they accomplished it.
Signal is probably the most secure one. It is also it also requires some understanding of what you are losing. You're losing some convenience by using Signal. For example, if you if you did not one, you need to know how to back up your messages on your own,
Yeah.
and two, you need to know how to restore them in case
Yeah.
that backup is gone, right? Because that's completely on you, because otherwise they would hold the copy, and they do not want that type of responsibility.
Right.
They're only
So
responsible of moving things from point to
you
point.
you are losing that ability, but at the same time, what you're gaining is that even if
Right.
they wanted to, they cannot reveal your texts.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think
So
that's more important. I mean, texting, just do it back and forth, and it to me, the texts are baggage. I mean, I don't need all these. I mean, these were like, oh yeah, okay, fine, I'll see you later. That doesn't.
for sure.
Yeah.
There's
So.
also another thing that is very, very, very critical to privacy, and that goes to everything I talked about before, and it's called your social graph. So, your social graph is basically my contact is connected to which other contacts, right?
Hmm.
So, I have you in my contacts, and I have Katie in my contacts,
Hmm.
and I have Spence, and so that means that I have a network. I have like a star sort of outgoing connections to a
Hmm.
bunch of people. Now, if I have 200 people in my contact, I am connected through a network to whoever they are connected to as well. So a social graph is basically those interconnection between people,
Mhm.
and um, that needs to stay private as well. So
Right.
one of the things that um, Signal does as well is it keeps it does keep a copy of your social network because it needs to manage trust between endpoints. But it does keep it as encrypted nodes on their end, and it always gets approval from uh, your endpoint, which is the phone that has registered in the network. And so, uh, even if they ever agree to a subpoena, which until now the record shows that all of the responses there haven't been a lot, but all of the responses for subpoenas from them has been either we do not have that information,
Right.
right, or I mean we might be able to like we don't, or we don't have access to what you're looking for specifically.
And it's true.
Yes, yes. There is one thing that does stay with them, but they cannot see it on their own. So that social graph is being preserved on their servers. There's a way of actually avoiding that as well, and it's encrypted in such a way that, I mean, even the toughest encryption breakers today can't open. So that makes them unique in terms of they are providing a service that is focused precisely only on the endpoint end-to-end encryption. They do not do anything else. When you want to back up your stuff, that is where you need to figure out the security for those backups. If you use something like WhatsApp today, it's a bit different because you do get end-to-end uh, protection, exactly like Signal, the same exact technology, same exact architecture. It has been developed by Signal, uh, and but one of the things you're losing is your social graph is completely open to WhatsApp. So theoretically, WhatsApp can provide that social graph information about you.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know if they've ever had. There's more to it because once you interact with businesses, business accounts, which they have that uh, term, because everybody who wants to use WhatsApp, it's free. Business accounts, they can buy certain services from WhatsApp. Um, Something that allows them to run bots, the chat bots that will answer, or like the
Okay.
equivalent of
Yeah.
AVRs and stuff like that. Uh, so if you interact with businesses, then that part of the conversation is actually completely exposed to WhatsApp because WhatsApp runs services to manage these differently. And that was one of the main reasons, the first influx of users from WhatsApp to Signal back then and Telegram was because of Meta introducing those business accounts, end of term license users, right? Licenses. So you need to stay vigilant about what you're exposing when you're exposing yourself on a network. WhatsApp does provide rather convenient backup features. Not on their own, by the way. They're not stored in WhatsApp. They're stored in a cloud provider based on the phone you're using. In iPhones, it's the iCloud. In Androids, it's Google Storage, right? But there's you lose some privacy when you want some convenience, right? That's always the case, always.
Yeah. Yeah.
One
Katie, you
one one note about um, recreating the wheel. As you said, nobody wants to reinvent the wheel.
right.
Um,
Nobody needs to.
yeah, so unless we continuously talk about how the wheel is built and what's the what are all the parts and why it matters, people will remain oblivious and they will continue doing just what's easy. And so while I don't expect everyone to rebuild the wheel, um, there are some. At least they need to understand that there's a choice of more than one wheel. Okay,
Ah,
that's the.
Ka-
I'm done
Katie,
with the metaphor, but that's like it. Really, it's about education, right? It's about really understanding what's available there and how why it affects you.
Katie, you have an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
And you're using iMessage.
Yeah, is that texting? Yeah.
Yeah,
So you texting to me
Yeah,
from
yeah,
iMessage to Messages Pro, whatever it is.
sure.
So it does talk to each other. God, so these
because
two.
it works through the text, the cell phone text messaging
Okay.
network.
Yeah.
Those are simple SMS text.
Right.
So Katie, when she talks with somebody else who uses an iPhone, has a green dot, right?
Uh, so it's different. So all the text messages look the same. Like there's nothing that pops up different. The only thing that's different is when I'm messaging an iPhone user, our speech bubbles are blue. If I'm messaging something
Blue,
that's not iPhone, then it's green. And
right?
the only limitations that I know about it is that you can send full images and full videos between iPad or iPhones. So if I send a video to my cousin who has an Android, the video is going to be just a small box. Like she won't be able to blow it up to make it bigger. Uh,
Right.
Hmm.
so that's the only thing I know.
Well, I
So
think I think
that's the part of the user experience that's changed, right? But in essence, what happens is when it crosses those networks, the one of the reasons it does it poorly is because there's little that the iPhone ecosystem can do to control what's ever happening on the other side. They're using MMS messages, right? And so those are not only are they more primitive in their capabilities, they're also less secure.
okay. Hmm. All right. And just to last thing to brighten up, U.S. consumers spent a total of 13.3 billion on Cyber Monday, up
Damn.
7.3% from the previous year, according to Adobe Analytics. So people are still buying.
Oh, I still want to give gifts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
13 billion?
13 billion. That's then that's in I don't know if it's one day. They say on Cyber Monday. I don't know if they included Black.
This something sounds really, really off. We're
Uh
talking about a population of 350 million.
huh. If everybody
Well,
spends
okay.
$10,
So you're doing 13 billion. Well, that's still
it's
13,000. Like what, $10,000 for a person?
I don't know. Yeah,
Something
it's
about the average, right? Is
I don't know,
maybe I'm doing the math wrong. I'm
but
slow with numbers. I'll do some math.
it's just interesting. Did you buy anything on Cyber Monday?
No,
I bought some trinkets, not anything important.
I didn't see anything that like caught my attention. I've bought stuff, but not specifically from the cyberness or
I
whatever the cyber sales.
My mechanic needed the mesh for their house. They have Ting uh, internet. It's a 1 gig, and said in the evening a lot of them getting a buffering circle and things are slow. And I said, yeah, this should be a problem with Ting. You need to talk to them. And he talked to them, and they said you can't use just the router. You need to get a mesh. Then you will see that it's going to be the speed that you're looking for. And he said that he has a friend, a neighbor that got that, and yes, when they added the mesh, it it was working. It made it like they are wired. So Tink told him to get the Eero something 6U, something like that. I don't remember. So I got it for him. Didn't connect it yet. Didn't install it yet. Um, but we'll see if it makes no sense to me that the local Wi-Fi will make it buffer in the evening every day. Sounds to me like they don't have enough being pushed into the neighborhood. But we'll find out. So it was a good price though. I think instead of 199, it was 129, something like that. And if that works, I may get one. Gal, you using Ubiquity in the house.
I'm using a single dish in the house, and it's enough,
Oh,
and it reaches every point. It's just what's important is where it's located. Once
yeah.
I figure out the location.
Yep.
So I did the math, and I was wrong. That's an average of $37 per person. That's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about the kids and the babies and all that, they don't spend that money.
Still, yeah,
So
but
it's
if
maybe
even even if you
$100.
think about everybody's getting a present,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Then
that's true.
yeah, $37.
Yeah. So it makes
It's
sense.
not exuberant. It's yeah, something I thought that there were too many O's over there, but
Yeah.
that's that is what that title means, right? And I think that's also important. Like that was probably the most important. It's like the U.S. consumer is spending on average $37 in during the Cyber
Cyber
Monday.
Monday.
Suddenly, that doesn't
That doesn't.
sound such
Yeah.
such a big deal, right? Yeah, especially when you think that when you remember that in the transaction, the amount of profit that you're talking about is usually less
Then
than 10%, usually even less than that, especially on sales, right?
yeah.
During that transaction. So yes, there's probably 5 different steps that needs to get those small values, but uh, not a lot of profit going into that forty
Right.
dollars per
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's nice to know that people do spend. All right. So we are at the end. Anything else you want to add? Katie?
Nope. Gonna be boxing stuff after this.
Just keep boxing.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was fun. Thanks, Gal. Thanks, Katie. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. I mean, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive, update your virus scanner, and change any same passwords wherever you use them. Uh, we'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Again, Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 a.m., Nick hosts the Carolina Journal News Hour on WBT in North Carolina, 11:10 a.m. and 99.3 FM, and it's also on YouTube. Just look for the Carolina Journal News Hour. Nick and Brian also host the Infection podcast on Twitch, and that's for survival games and games in general, gaming news, and some political discussions. So it's on Twitch. Just go to infectionpodcast.com and infectionpodcast.com and see when the live show is going to be the week that you're searching for. We'll see you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.